Good morning. Let us begin where most of us actually are, not where we think a spiritual student ought to be. I don't know. It hasn't unfolded to me yet. Let that sentence be wholly on your lips. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't justify it. Don't embellish it. Just let it be. I don't know. It hasn't unfolded to me yet. In that honesty, you are already nearer to guidance than in 100 anxious plans. Why? Because guidance is not manufactured by personal will. It is received as unfoldment. And in other words, the moment we stop pretending omniscience, we stop jamming the very channel through which the next step would have come. Now, I know the pressure that visits you in that honest place. Decision pressure, the ticking clock, the gnawing thought that you have already missed it, the fear that somewhere out there is a single right choice and that heaven is holding a pass-fail exam titled Next Step. And with that fear comes the frantic mind. What if I'm late? What if I ruin it? Beloved, there is no test outside the presence, and there is no lateness in God. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. That is not a threat. That is a principle. It doesn't say outthink thy ways or outhurry thy ways. Acknowledge. That is inner. Direction follows. That is unfoldment. Be still and know that I am God. Stillness here is not passivity. It is receptivity. It is yielding the personal noise so that the word can be heard where it actually speaks. And listen to how the scripture measures guidance. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, not a stadium floodlight to the horizon, a lamp to the feet, enough light for the next step, not the next 20 years. Don't you see the mercy in that? If you could see all the steps at once, you would either run ahead of grace or never start. The lamp is sufficient for the path you must take today. Tomorrow's lamp will be tomorrow's grace. We are going to widen this now because most anxiety about the next step is tied to supply, money, opportunity, connections. Hear me. Money isn't supply. Money is one of the forms supply can take. I is supply. I embody supply. Supply isn't external to me. When the I that I am is acknowledged, supply begins its appearance as right ideas before it ever appears as dollars or open doors. First, the idea quiet, seed-like, easily overlooked, then the channel shapes around it. If you are looking only for the check in the mailbox, you will miss the idea that would have made 100 checks unnecessary. So what do we do at the edge of not knowing? Don't try. Live it. Exemplify it. Sit, even if the mind protests, until the inner contact is felt. Not fireworks contact. A soft assurance without argument. My sheep hear my voice. When that voice is heard, you will not be hunting guidance. The next right step will identify itself, often with a simplicity that embarrasses your former panic. Take no thought for your life, is how the master put it. Not sloth, surrender. Not neglect of duty, relinquishment of self-management to grace. If you came into this hour with the ache of lostness, you are in the doorway. Not knowing is not your shame point. It is the opening where true guidance enters. We will walk from this honest ground into the understanding that supply as right ideas is already stirring within you, waiting not for your effort but for your consent. As you allow the lamp to your feet to be enough for today, the sense of being examined will fade, and a quiet expectancy will take its place. The government of your steps is not on your shoulders. The government shall be upon his shoulder. Rest there. Guidance will do what guidance always does under grace. Disclose itself one illumined step at a time. Now let us place a foundation stone, because unless this is clear, you will keep checking the mailbox and miss the messenger who comes within. Money isn't supply. Opportunity isn't supply. Contacts, networks, open doors, these are not supply. They are forms, channels through which supply may appear for a season. The principle is this: I is supply. I embody supply. Supply isn't external to me. In other words, the living presence that says I, not the personal ego, but the I that is God expressing as individual being, that I is the substance, the law, the rhythm by which forms come and go in due season. The kingdom of God is within you. When we are taught to seek the kingdom first, it is because the kingdom is the storehouse of ideas, and all these things shall be added as natural outflow. If you are waiting for a visible solution, you are likely to overlook the first appearance of supply because it is quieter than your worry. It arrives not as a deposit, but as a right idea, seed-like, almost unimpressive. It may be a two-word nudge, call her, or a restraint, wait, or an inner arrangement, move that desk to the window and take the light. Why such small things? Because the nature of spiritual supply is order. The idea carries its own harmony, its own sequence. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. The word is the first nourishment. The bread appears later. And let me make it practical. Because if you can't live this today, it's not a principle for you yet. A student writes, I need funds for rent by Friday. The mind screams for a check. In meditation, nothing fireworks, only a simple clarity. Clear the drawer, put the papers in order. Ridiculous? He did it. In those papers was a forgotten certificate that, when redeemed, covered more than the rent. Now, was the certificate the supply? No. The right idea, clear the drawer, was the first appearance of supply. It said to the universe, I consent to order. And the channel formed around that consent. Sometimes the idea is not action, but language. You are about to enter a difficult conversation. Your prayer demands a result. In stillness, the idea forms, ask, not tell. One sentence, help me understand. That is supply. Why? Because it carries the energy of peace and the authority of love. It opens a door that your argument could never open. A soft answer turneth away wrath. That answer is supply taking the form of words. It can just as well take the form of silence. You reach for the phone to force a decision. In the pause, the inner word is no. That no is not deprivation, it is protection. It is supply taking the form of timing. Do you see how broad this is? The same invisible supply that might one day look like a check in your account might today look like clarity in your thought, or a name rising to consciousness, or the sudden sense to turn left instead of right, or the courage to close a door that has expired. The master did not say, take thought for outcomes. He said, take no thought for your life, which is to say, cease grasping at forms and consent to the life of God as your life. Then right ideas emerge of themselves. My sheep hear my voice. The voice is not noisy. It is authoritative without volume. Now I know what the mind says. Yes, but I need something I can spend. Beloved, when the seed is true, the fruit is inevitable. If I, the presence of God, am acknowledged as supply, then the appearing of forms is a byproduct of realization, not the product of cleverness. Don't try. Live it. Exemplify it. Sit until the right idea takes shape without strain. When it does, do not underestimate it because it is small. Cooperate with it. In due season, the channel will be there. A phone rings, a door opens, a check arrives, or a check does not arrive, and you are moved to a new arrangement 10 times better than the one you were propping up. The source is the I within. Forms are the footprints of that I on the surface of your day. Look to the footsteps, and you will fatigue yourself. Look to the I, and the steps will arrange themselves. Now, since the idea is the first appearance, we must come to the chamber in which ideas are conceived, not in the wrestling ring of the mind, not in the sweat of figuring it out, in stillness. Be still and know that I am God. That is not a pious motto. It is a principle of operation. In other words, the place where you stop shouting your need is the very place where the seed takes. The soil does not conceive under a plow that never lifts. The womb does not conceive under interrogation. The seed is the word of God, and the word does not enter a room filled with our explanations. It enters the stillness where there is room to be heard. What is forcing? It is the attempt of the personal mind to outrun fear. It is noise disguised as progress. It produces motion without guidance. It sounds like this. I'll call them again. I'll send 3 more emails. I'll redesign the plan tonight and the budget tomorrow. I'll do something. And, of course, something gets done. Voicemails pile up. Drafts multiply. Heart rate elevates. But guidance? No. Forcing keeps you within the government of cause and effect fear. The law came by Moses. Push, and you will be pushed. Insist, and you will meet resistance. Grace and truth came by Jesus Christ. In stillness, you move out from the treadmill of self-management into the river that carries you. Now, don't misunderstand. This is not passivity. Stillness is not inactivity. Stillness is the state in which right ideas can be conceived. Action may and often will follow, but then action is response, not panic, obedience, not compulsion. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet. Notice, it is the word first, the lamp, then the step. We reverse it. Under pressure, we leap, and then pray the light will catch up. That is why our leaping breaks ankles. The principle is patient. Let the word light the foot, then move the foot. How do we enter this? Begin by letting the pressure drop. Don't try. Live it. Exemplify it. Sit a moment, even if it has to be in the parked car between appointments. Close the door on the argument in your head. You may say softly, "Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth," or simply "I," not as a mantra to make something happen, but as a consent to what already is. Never hesitate to say, "I don't know. It hasn't unfolded to me yet." That sentence unhooks your mind from the wheel. Wait not for fireworks, not for a voice out of the ceiling. Wait for a diminishment of urgency, a settling. That settling is already guidance because it is the atmosphere in which the right idea can be recognized when it floats up like a feather. I watched a businessman wear out 3 pens on a single decision. He had charts, calls, legal drafts, no peace. In meditation, the only change, no vision, just a phrase. Sleep on it, he mocked it. That's it. He slept at 5 a.m. The right idea. Do not acquire partner. One call at 9 o'clock and the channel formed without strain. Was the partnership the supply? No. The stillness where sleep on it could be received was the place of conception. The rest was birth at term. You will find that in stillness, even a no is mercy, not lack. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. The no, the wait, the not yet. These are not emptiness, they are gestation. When you dig up the seed each morning to see if it has sprouted, you interrupt the law of life. When you water and stand back, trusting the appointed time, you cooperate with the law of grace. The idea will carry its own schedule. It must not be bullied into appearance. So when the old panic rises, meet it with the practiced gentleness that says, I release the outcome. I acknowledge the I that I am as supply. Rest there until the need to make something happen eases. Then, and only then, listen. The next indicated step will identify itself sometimes as a word, sometimes as a restraint, sometimes as a simple kindness you are to perform this very hour. Do that not because you hope it will buy you a miracle, but because it is the miracle in seed form. The government of your day is not on your shoulders. The government shall be upon his shoulder. Enter the stillness where the seed is conceived, and you will find that forcing has nothing to add to what grace is already bringing to birth. Now, having allowed the seed to be conceived, we must honor its time. A right idea may be conceived today in a whisper, in a restraint, but its birth may not be this afternoon. It may be 3 days or 3 months. It might even be 3 years. To everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under the heaven. That is not a poetic comfort. It is a law of life under grace. In other words, the interval is not abandonment, it is gestation. Under the surface, arrangements are being made that you cannot see. People moved, skills gathered, motives purified, doors that would have trapped you, quietly closing so the right door may open and stay open. First the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn in the ear. There is an order to the way truth appears. If you demand the full corn because you glimpse the blade, you will tear up the field. This is why anxiety is such a poor midwife. It yanks at the process, calls it late, rewrites it on paper, and then grieves because the paper never breathes. The law came by Moses: sow, reap, count the days, push the cart harder. Grace and truth came by Jesus Christ. The life of God has its own schedule and its own energy. When I consciously make contact with God, I am at one with every spiritual idea, but their appearance in form takes the rhythm of grace, not the hurry of fear. And let me be practical here, because this is where we are most tempted to substitute human outlining for spiritual unfoldment. You receive a right idea, write the letter. Do it. The next day, the mind says, where is the response? Perhaps I should write 10 more. Perhaps I should change the plan entirely. No, don't try. Live it. Exemplify it. The next indicated step will identify itself. It may be to wait. It may be to learn a small skill that seems unrelated. It may be to make an amends that frees a relationship long knotted. That is all part of the gestation. If you insist on certainty before grace has finished her quiet work, you will shape an image of the outcome and then strive to worship it. That image will require your arm of flesh to keep it standing. You will call that being faithful to the vision. It is not faithfulness. It is fear decorated with spiritual language. Listen to the prophets. As the earth bringeth forth her bud, and as the garden causeth the things that are sown in it to spring forth, so the Lord God will cause righteousness and praise to spring forth. The earth is not pacing the field at midnight, wringing its hands. It holds, it receives rain, it yields when the sap says now. So with you, the I that I am is supply. The I carries within itself the pattern and the hour. Your role is not to invent the calendar. It is to abide in the contact and obey the day. Today's obedience may look so small, you are tempted to despise it. Do not despise the day of small things. The blade is not less the corn because it is young. I watched a mother-to-be stand over a crib for months before there was a child to lay in it. Was the crib foolish? No. It was cooperation without forcing. She did not try to pull the child out early to justify having painted the room. She prepared the room and let life bring itself to term. Take that as your pattern. Prepare the room your right idea has asked for. Study the book it points to. Tidy the corner it will use. Make the call it names and then refuse to let anxiety turn you into a surgeon of unfinished births. In your patience possess ye your souls. If this seems too slow for the deadlines of the world, remember, the world is not your governor. My kingdom is not of this world. You are only under cosmic law until you achieve the realization of grace. Under grace, channels form without coercion. Right people appear without manipulation, and the path shows itself one lamp length at a time. Consent to that. Rest where you are given to rest. Move where you are given to move. The seed knows its hour. When it crowns, it will not be because you pulled. It will be because you permitted. Now we must look very squarely at the thing that shouts the loudest when you are waiting on grace. Appearance. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. The empty checkbook, the blank calendar, the unanswered messages, these are not creators, they are reports. And most of the time, they are not even accurate reports of reality. They are mental pictures demanding your agreement. If you sign their affidavit, you come under the law of their verdict. If instead you turn within and acknowledge God as the substance of all form, you withdraw the only power they ever seem to have, your consent. There's no matter in the sense that there is no self-creative material substance with a will of its own. What we see, hear, taste, touch, and smell isn't a creation. It is a mental image of creation. God is the substance, the life, the law. In other words, conditions are the surface. The Creator is the invisible presence, the eye of your being. Money isn't supply. Appointments aren't supply. I is supply. I embody supply. Supply isn't external to me. If the surface is quiet or even storm-tossed, it does not alter the depth. We look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, the things which are not seen are eternal. And if you listen beneath the clamoring fear around the empty ledger, you will hear the actual hunger naming itself. It is not for numbers in a box. It is for assurance, for direction, for safety. You are asking, will I be held? Will I be guided? The psalmist answered it long before your bank had a website. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Want is not erased by digits, it is dissolved by presence. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Peace is supply in its native form. From peace, channels appear. From panic, images multiply and bills seem to breed. So change the question. Stop whipping yourself with, what do I do? As if doing were salvation. Ask instead, what is the truth of supply where I am? Right where the calendar is blank, the truth is intact. I, the life of God individualized, am fully supplied as wisdom, as timing, as courage, as idea. The kingdom of God is within you. Seek first that kingdom, make conscious contact with the I, and all these things are added as byproducts, not by prizes won for frantic performance. When I consciously make contact with God, I am then at one with every spiritual idea necessary to this hour. The form by which it appears will shape itself in due season. A student came to me with 3 weeks of white space on his calendar and a head full of storm. In the stillness, there was no giant revelation, only a right idea, set your table. It sounded foolish. He cleaned the small room where he received people, prepared his notes, placed fresh water, sat in quiet gratitude for those not yet seen. That week, without a single advertisement, 3 appointments took their place on the very table he had set. Was the cleaning the cause? No. The cause was the invisible substance acknowledged as I, and the cleaning was cooperation with the truth of order. The channel formed because he stopped arguing with the blankness and consented to the deeper reality. This is how you cease giving power to conditions. You do not debate the checkbook. You refuse at the throne. You say within, peace be still, not to God, but to the wind and the waves of fear. We walk by faith, not by sight. Faith is not a blind leap. It is the recognition that the unseen is the cause and the seen the effect. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Substance, do you hear? not vapor substance. As that substance is felt within, it must appear as some form of sufficiency, sometimes a check, sometimes a no, sometimes a new direction, sometimes the courage to simplify and be freer than money could have made you. So the next time the ledger shouts and the calendar sneers, do not argue, don't try, live it, exemplify it, sit quietly and ask, what is the truth of supply where I am? Wait until the atmosphere changes, until the inner government is felt on his shoulder. Then obey the next indicated step, even if it is to do nothing but be at peace for an hour. Conditions are not the creator. They are the surface. Guidance comes from the deeper substance within, and, acknowledged, will shape new channels across the very face that had looked so empty. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. You will not be left with a surface. You will be carried by the source. Let me give you an image you can carry into your kitchen and your commute and your checking account. An orange tree in a neighbor's yard, nothing exotic, just a tree doing what trees do. In winter, it looks like poverty. Gray limbs, no flower, no fruit. In spring, a fragrance moves through the yard, but you still cannot eat fragrance. In early summer, little green marbles, bitter as a sermon you don't want to hear. And then one morning in late season, you glance over the fence, and there they are, heavy, sweet, effortless to the eye. Does the tree spend July wringing its twigs, groaning, I must force an orange by Thursday? Does the gardener strap fruit to the branches with string to impress the neighbors? No. The tree abides in its nature. The gardener cooperates with that nature, watering, pruning, trusting the season, and fruit appears on schedule without strain. In other words, the orange was not born the day you saw it. It had been established long before in the invisible roots, deepening, sap rising, sugars forming, cells arranging themselves by a law not posted on anyone's refrigerator. Invisible supply was already at work while the branch looked empty. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His season, do you hear the mercy in that? Not your neighbor's season, not your stopwatch. His season. The fruit is the witness of an inward life maintained. Now translate this to guidance. You stand under the sky of your day and you see no fruit, no callback, no deposit, no plan that makes sense. You are tempted to conclude nothing is happening. That is as mistaken as accusing the orange tree of laziness in March. The right idea may already be conceived, but it is moving along the hidden channels, timing, organizing, motives clarifying, people being placed, even your appetite being purified, so that when the fruit hangs low, you will know to pluck it and not to staple it. Like fruit on a tree, guidance appears outwardly after it is already established inwardly. Decision anxiety is the shovel that digs up the seed every morning to check if it's sprouted. You know that reflex. Call again. Send 3 more notes. Outline a different outcome before lunch because silence scares you. Beloved, that is stapling oranges. Abide in me, and I in you, said the Master. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself except it abide in the vine, no more can ye except ye abide in me. Without me, ye can do nothing. Abide is the word. Don't try. Live it. Exemplify it. Water the root with contact 5 quiet minutes where you release the outcome and acknowledge I is supply. Prune what the inner nudge asks you to prune an obligation that has expired, a cluttered corner, a resentful thought. Then leave the seed in the soil. Let grace keep the calendar. And how will you know when an idea is of the tree and not a plastic fruit of impulse? It carries a quiet authority, not excitement, not the sugar rush of a bright idea, a settledness. The atmosphere changes first. The peace of God which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds. That peace does not shout, it governs. It is like weight in the orange, no longer hollow, no longer bitter. You will not need to whip yourself into obedience. You will find yourself inclined gently, normally, to take the next indicated step. Often it will look small. Write the line, clean the drawer, make the amends, prepare the room. These are not superstitions to make fruit grow. They are cooperations with a life already at work. So when your branch looks bare and the neighborhood calendar says you are late, smile the way the wise gardener smiles in April. He knows the sap is faithful. He knows the root is busy. He knows there is a law beneath appearances. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. The appearance is a limb without color. The righteous judgment is that life is present, forming what will be seen when it is safe to be seen. Hold to that, quietly. Keep your hands from the staple gun. Abide in the I that you are. And in due season, your season, the sweetness that has been forming invisibly will hang within reach, and it will be obvious. You will not take credit. You will take nourishment. And that is all grace ever asks of a branch. Now we come to the crux, the point at which the weary mind says, I must figure this out. And the heart replies, no, I will be carried. The scripture has already drawn the line for us. The law came by Moses, but grace and truth came by Jesus Christ. In other words, cosmic law is the belief that outcomes are strictly earned by calculation, control, and strain, that for every step you miss, there is a penalty. Miss the angle, pay the price, misjudge the hour, bear the loss. Under that government, you must be clever enough to catch life before it runs past you, and you will be forgiven nothing. Cosmic law keeps a ledger and demands interest on fear. Grace is another government entirely. Grace is the action of God as the life of your very being, supplying, correcting, revealing, without the lash of personal strain. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. When grace governs, right ideas do not depend upon your frantic reach. They rise of themselves because the source is present where you are. It is God which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. The will and the doing both are within the I. I is supply. I embody supply. Supply isn't external to me. The form appears in due season because the government is not your outlining, but the order native to God. What changes when you come under grace? First, you are less driven to predict and more able to respond. The future ceases to be a beast to be tamed. It becomes a river to be stepped into, where the lamp lights the foot. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, not a floodlight a mile ahead. Second, you are less afraid to wait. Waiting under cosmic law is a sentence. Waiting under grace is gestation. Third, you are less afraid to be wrong because grace corrects without humiliation. Under the law of fear, a misstep is doom. Under grace, it is a nudge back into alignment. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness. Restoreth. Do you hear the mercy? And do not imagine I am preaching at you from a hill where I have never slipped. I have known the midnight panic, the legal pad covered with alternatives, the telephone worn smooth from overuse. I have watched my mind hire itself as general manager of the universe and then present me the bill. More than once, I have had to lay it down and say the humblest sentence a practitioner can say, I don't know. It hasn't unfolded to me yet. That confession is not failure. It is the key in the lock. In that stillness, a right idea appears, quiet, practical, unspectacular. Once it was only this: stop negotiating, bless and release. Another time, don't acquire, combine. The moment I obeyed, doors that would not open to a battering ram swung on silent hinges, and the provision that had looked like a wall revealed itself as a passage. Was it because I finally figured out the perfect angle? No, it was because the government shifted. Grace took the chair. Now, how do you consent to this government? Don't try. Live it. Exemplify it. Sit until the nervous governance drops off your shoulders, and you can feel, even slightly, that the government shall be upon his shoulder. Whisper, if you like, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Rest is not idleness. It is the atmosphere in which right ideas carry authority. Say within, not to the sky, but to the eye of your being, "I consent to be carried." Then move as you are moved. Respond. Don't predict. Wait. Don't whip. Correct. Don't condemn. If the guidance is to pause, count that pause as supply taking the form of timing. If the guidance sends you to a small obedience, do it without bargaining. Under grace, the channel shapes itself around the right idea without coercion. This is the turning point. You are only under cosmic law until you achieve, even for 5 minutes, the realization of grace. Then the tyranny of self-management loosens, and you find yourself governed by an order that needs neither your brilliance nor your intimidation to work. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Easy does not mean without work. It means without the weight of fear. Light because the life does the lifting. Let grace be the government of right ideas, and you will discover that being carried is not passivity, it is accuracy, and accuracy under grace is peace. Now, since grace is a government and not a theory, let us be very plain about the practice that brings you under it. Contact first, then the next step will identify itself. This is not a trick. It is not a method to make God work faster. It is consent to what already is. Sit, even if it is only the 3 minutes between tasks. Sit and release your outlining. You may say, "I don't know, it hasn't unfolded to me yet," and feel the relief that sentence permits. Or simply, "Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth." Wait not for fireworks, but for the atmosphere to change. When the pressure drops, however slightly, you have made contact. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Don't try. Live it. Exemplify it. Do not count minutes as if they purchased answers. Do not test the silence with little exams. Are you there? Prove it. Contact is not manufactured by breath or posture or mantra. Those may help you arrive at your chair, but presence is already present. The kingdom of God is within you. In other words, the practice is a yielding, a ceasing from self-management so that the I that I am may announce itself as the only governor in the room. When the inner climate softens, peace, a loosening in the chest, a simple well-being, do not rush to spend it. Let it settle. That settling is itself supply because it is the womb in which the right idea can take on form. Then listen, but not with strain. What comes is often modest, a single sentence, a restraint, a name to call, an apology to make, a skill to learn, an unexpected no. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. Follow what? Not a 10-step plan, a lamp. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet. Lamp to foot means one step. The word may be, return the call you have been avoiding, or do not answer that email today, or learn the small software you have dismissed, or send flowers without a note, or no kindly, firmly, no. The mind will protest. That cannot be the solution. Of course not. It is not the solution. It is the next obedience. The channel forms around obediences taken in peace. Write the right idea down. Treat it as you would a check placed in your hand quietly, with gratitude, and then deposit it by doing the thing it names. As you act, stay within the contact. Don't run out into the street of anxiety with the lamp behind you. Do the one thing, then return to stillness. Ask nothing more than, is there another footstep? If yes, take it. If nothing more appears, rest. Manna came one day at a time. Hoarding it made it spoil. So with guidance, fresh bread for a fresh hour. Give us this day our daily bread. And please hear this because it saves years of grief. A restraint is guidance. A weight is supply. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and sometimes the ordered step is to be still. Do not translate stillness as delay. Under cosmic law, delay is penalty. Under grace, delay is timing. You are only under cosmic law until you achieve, even faintly, the realization of grace. When you feel that rest, the government has shifted, and a no can be as provisionary as a yes, because it bars you from rooms that would have held you too long. Some of you will say, but how do I know it is right and not just my cleverness? You will know by its fruit, and the first fruit is peace, not excitement, not the thrill of a bright idea, but the quiet authority of a right idea. It carries its own order. It does not whip you. It inclines you. If you miss it, grace restores. He restoreth my soul. Return to contact and say without shame, it hasn't unfolded to me yet. The next word will be given. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding, and he shall direct thy paths. So this is the simple sequence, and it does not change with bank balances or calendars. Contact, atmosphere, word, obedience, contact, over and over. As natural as breathing. You are not hunting guidance. When you make contact within, guidance hunts you. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Let it follow, let it overtake, let it carry. One lamp length at a time, and the path that seemed not to exist will have been walked, and looking back, you will see it was there all along, formed by the grace you consented to, one right step at a time. Now, let us be very plain about something that will save you from many expensive detours. A bright idea is not a right idea. Bright ideas come with a drum roll, ego in a parade hat, promising applause, quick relief, rescue by Thursday. They flatter your image. They threaten you with, if you don't grab this, you'll miss everything. And they need your will like a whip to keep them standing. Right ideas, by contrast, slip in like a friend who uses the back door and puts on the kettle. They do not flatter you, they free you. They remove friction inside. They carry peace, even when they ask for courage. Let the peace of God rule in your hearts. Rule, do you hear? Peace takes the chair, it governs. And here is the first recognition marker. A right idea inclines you. It does not stampede you. Bright ideas shout, hurry. Right ideas whisper, now, or just as faithfully, not yet. Bright ideas need witnesses. Right ideas bring witness in their wake order, appearing where chaos sat. Breath deepening, a sense that the room just got larger. By their fruits ye shall know them. The first fruit is not money or notoriety. It is atmosphere, quiet authority displacing strain. Second, a right idea may not make you look clever. In fact, it may send you to make amends, to simplify your plan until it embarrasses your pride to take a boundary that costs you invitations. It carries integrity. You can bring it into prayer without having to negotiate the corners. Bright ideas need loopholes. Right ideas bring light. He that doeth truth cometh to the light. If you cannot bear to hold an idea in the light of quiet contact, set it down. It is not supply. Third, a right idea is supply because it carries within itself the energy and order of unfoldment. It is not merely a suggestion. It is a seed with its own germination. When I consciously make contact with God and a right idea is given, channels begin shaping themselves. Phone calls align without manipulation. Time rearranges. Obstacles reveal their doors. One right conversation becomes a door you could not have kicked open. One right simplification becomes a new schedule that frees you from the tyranny of busyness and makes room for what is truly yours to do. One right boundary spoken quietly, without heat, becomes renewed strength because your life stops hemorrhaging into what was never assigned to you. And yes, there will be times when you cannot explain why a quiet no or a small yes feels like the truth. Don't try. Live it. Exemplify it. You may not at first be able to describe it to your friends or your board or even to yourself. Say, if you must, I don't know. It hasn't unfolded to me yet. That is honesty. That is humility. And humility protects guidance. Teach nothing there. Live it until it proves itself, and it will, because grace does not need your press release to bear fruit. How will you test this without falling back into cleverness? Very simply, bring the idea into contact and watch what happens in you. Does the breath ease? Does the compulsion to sell yourself calm down? Does the next indicated step identify itself without bargaining? If yes, begin. If there is agitation, if you must talk yourself into it every hour, if you must recruit 10 allies to steady your nerve, set it down. Be still and know that I am God. Stillness is the proving ground. The I that I am will not endorse what it does not author. I is supply. I embody supply. So the right idea born of I arrives as sufficiency in motion. It won't always thrill you, but it will steady you. Follow that steadiness. Obey that boundary. Make that one call. Simplify that room. And then watch without forcing as channels form around peace, the way rivers carve their beds around gravity. You will find that what looked like a modest step was actually provision, opening order, taking its place, strength returning to your limbs, and life moving you along its own sure course. Now, let us speak frankly about a temptation that ruins more unfoldments than any shortage of time or money. The temptation to teach before you live, to declare certainty in order to calm fear, to make proclamations when the principle has not yet taken root. Be not many masters, James warns, knowing that we shall receive the greater condemnation. In other words, the mouth moves faster than the heart, and we use words as sandbags against anxiety. But here this is mercy. Premature certainty cancels guidance. It slams the door we were just beginning to feel a breeze through, because the ego can't abide the honest sentence, I don't know. It hasn't unfolded to me yet. Embodiment first, instruction after. You are left with the principle, and the principle has to take root in you. If you cannot yet articulate the next step, it may be because it is not yet yours to teach even to yourself. Don't try. Live it. Exemplify it. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. For whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. When we ornament our uncertainty with spiritual slogans, we are really trying to stabilize appearances. That is not faith. That is cosmetics. The spirit needs no cosmetics. Out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh. Wait until there is abundance, an inward wait, peace ruling as the ground of your speech. A student once rushed into my room with a plan, a calendar, a speech to his board, and a religious glow over it all. God told me, he said, and then listed 15 items that, to my ear, sounded like anxiety in a choir robe. I asked him to sit 10 minutes, no outlining, just to find contact. In that stillness, the entire speech went colorless. A single right idea rose. Cancel the announcement. Make amends for overpromising. Take one quiet step. Combine. don't acquire. He obeyed with embarrassment, expecting to lose face. Instead, the board respected the humility, the calendar breathed, and within a month the very combination he had not seen appeared without cost. What changed? Not the facts. His posture. Grace took the chair when he let go of the costume of certainty. He giveth grace unto the humble. So, guard your speech. It is permissible to say, I don't know yet, without collapsing. That sentence is not a confession of poverty. It is a tithe of honesty that keeps you open to the real revealing. Study to be quiet and to do your own business. If you paste, God told me over a hunch, you will have to defend a banner grace did not raise. If you whisper, it hasn't unfolded to me yet, you leave room for God to be God. The practice is simple. Keep your words small until your life has enlarged them. Let life do the shouting by demonstration. Don't try, live it, exemplify it. And yes, this touches the nerve called decision anxiety. The demand to decide now is often the need to look competent to soothe the observers, even the one in your own head who fears you are behind. He that believeth shall not make haste. Under cosmic law, delay feels like penalty. Under grace, delay is gestation. Be swift to hear, slow to speak. Contact first, then the next step identifies itself. When the lamp is lit at your feet, you need not manufacture a sunrise. Remember, I is supply. I embody supply. The right idea born of I is sufficiency in seed form, and seed does not beg for trumpets. Protect it with quiet. Teach nothing there. Let it root until the peace that keeps the heart is not an emotion but a government. Then, if you must speak, your yea will be yea with weight, and your nay will be nay with kindness, and channels will form around integrity as naturally as rivers carve their beds around gravity. Guidance is protected by humility. Premature certainty is often just fear in spiritual language. Choose humility. It is the door by which grace enters without announcement and does the teaching through you on time, in truth, and with no strain at all. Once the right idea is conceived, your part is not to engineer an outcome. It is to cooperate with what has life in it. In other words, if the word is seed, your work is watering and weeding, not tugging at the sprout to make it taller. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, not a searchlight to the horizon. A lamp shows you a foot of path. Take the foot, make the call named in your piece. Write the page you are given to write, not the book you haven't conceived. Send the apology your heart already owes. Study the one skill that removes friction from the next quiet step. And if the instruction is rest, lie down the way a field lies fallow to regain strength. These are not theatrics. These are cooperations. Don't try, live it. Exemplify it. Replace hustle with faithful responsiveness. Hustle is fear in running shoes. Responsiveness is trust on its feet. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. So you do the next thing the Spirit gives breath for, and only that. If the idea is to apply once with integrity and then return to stillness. If the idea is to combine two efforts instead of acquiring a third, do that one modest rearrangement and let the atmosphere settle. If the idea is to show up on time and do today's work quietly, do that without designing applause. The right idea carries its own propulsion. You need not crack the whip. I is supply. I embody supply. Supply isn't external to me. It unfolds outwardly as I need it, and channels appear as cooperation continues. Now suppose you have obeyed the one thing and nothing seems to move. Under cosmic law, you will be tempted to compensate by multiplying actions to send more notes, to push the door, to add noise until it feels like progress. Do not, return to stillness. Be still and know that I am God. If no additional word appears, do not invent one. To add action when peace is absent is to spend seed corn. Wait until the lamp lights another foot. Remember, manna spoiled when hoarded. Fresh guidance is daily bread. It will not come because you clamor, but because you consent. And hear this because it widens your world. Channels are not limited. Grace has more avenues than you have ideas. The same God who fed Elijah by ravens and then by a widow in Zarephath is not bound to your pipeline. Cast the net on the right side, the master said, and men who had labored all night without result hauled a catch beyond their managing. In other words, the channel by which a right idea becomes visible may be one you would never have plotted on your chart: an introduction through a neighbor, a cancellation that frees the better appointment, a closed door that turns you toward the door that was always yours. Your task is not to supervise the river, it is to step where the lamp permits and let the river carry you. A woman came to me once with plans enough to pave a highway, applications, scripts, speeches to secure support. The right idea that arose in contact was smaller than any of that. Clear the spare room. Combine 2 half rolls into 1 whole appointment. Send 3 handwritten thanks without asking for anything. She did it quietly, almost embarrassed by the simplicity. Within 2 weeks, the channel formed of itself. A former colleague, now relieved by her integrity, invited her into a role that matched her combined appointment exactly, with compensation she had not dared to outline. She had not forced a single hinge. She had cooperated, and the hinges turned. So let this be the practice. Contact first. Do the next footstep in peace. If nothing new is given, keep still hands and a soft heart. Refuse the superstition that effort equals outcome. Insist instead on the principle that cooperation with the right idea shapes the channel without coercion. Judge not according to appearance, not the empty inbox, not the quiet phone, but judge righteous judgment. The I that I am is at work. As you move when moved and rest when stilled, you will look back and find that grace has been carving its bed around your obediences the way rivers shape their course around gravity. Surely goodness and mercy are not waiting at the finish line. They are following you now, and as you consent to be guided 1 lamp length at a time, the unseen will become seen on time, without strain, and with the unmistakable weight of peace. Now there will be hours when the lamp does not step you forward, when the only honest word that rises is wait or even no. Do not translate that as lack. A divinely guided wait is supply taking the form of timing. A no is supply taking the form of protection. He openeth, and no man shutteth, and shutteth, and no man openeth. In other words, the same grace that gives the right idea governs the movement of that idea. It is not punishment, it is government. He maketh me to lie down, do you hear? He makes. The shepherd who leads beside still waters knows when lying down is the greenest pasture you can be given. The personal sense hates this. The personal sense calls waiting wasted time, and a closed door an insult. It wants to keep the stopwatch, to prove competence by movement. But under grace there is no stopwatch to please, only a rhythm to keep. He that believeth shall not make haste. Not make haste. Belief, trust, conscious oneness relaxes the compulsion to be seen doing. Preparation is not delay, it is mercy. Soil that rests holds water. Steel that is tempered in the quiet becomes dependable. In the same way, a soul permitted to be still becomes a trustworthy instrument for the next right step. Don't try, live it, exemplify it. And let us be practical, because this is where confusion sneaks in wearing urgency. If an option inflates your self-importance, if it asks you to shade your integrity, if you feel the breath shorten and the inner climate agitate merely at the thought of it, set it down. That is not a right channel, even if it is profitable. What shall it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul? A right idea carries peace in its bones, even when it asks courage of your muscles. A bright, fearful rush is not the same as the quiet authority of yes. Let the peace of God rule. Let it take the chair. If peace says wait, that is the rule. If peace says no, that is the rule. The rule is not your calendar. The rule is the presence. I know the ache of doors that don't yield. More than once I have stood with a plan pressed against a closed gate, pushing, spiritualizing the push with verses until at last the most merciful sentence came. I don't know. It hasn't unfolded to me yet. The moment that honesty rose, the push stopped, and in this stopping, a different door behind me all the while revealed itself. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, not a battering ram. When the lamp does not light the threshold in front of you, do not burn the house down for illumination. Turn, be still, consent to be carried. I is supply. I embody supply. If I is at rest, rest is supply. A young man came declaring that a certain partnership was too good to miss. Every sign read profit, platform, speed, but in contact, 2 words arrived. Not yet. He nearly choked on them. He waited, embarrassed, while 3 friends signed on without him. In 6 months, the terms shifted, and the integrity he would have had to surrender to remain would have cost him more than he could count. The channel that did open for him afterward matched him, not merely paying him. He would say now, through tears if you pressed him, that the wait was the gift, the no was rescue disguised as prudence. No good thing will he withhold from them that walk uprightly. No good thing withheld, and sometimes the thing withheld is the wrong thing. So take this as a lens you can use on the street where you live. If an opportunity requires you to hurry beyond peace, to talk bigger than truth, to compromise what you could not say in prayer without wincing, it is not your door. If a proposal looks lean, but the atmosphere swells with quiet, if you can lay your head down after agreeing and sleep, that may be your door, even if it does not glitter. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Confidence is not strut, it is settledness. Quietness is not silence, it is agreement with grace's timing. You are only under cosmic law until you achieve even fleetingly the realization of grace. Under cosmic law, a red light is an offense. Under grace, it is choreography. The Spirit choreographs your steps in a sequence you cannot outline. The steps of a good man are ordered of the Lord. Ordered sometimes to step, as often to stand. If the order today is stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, then standing is not doing nothing. It is consenting to the government that opens and shuts without scolding. Stand softly, keep contact, tend to the small obediences that belong to waiting, clear a room, mend a sentence, study the tool, write the thank you note, walk, rest, let the pause be pregnant. The right idea you already carry is gestating, and the delivery room is being prepared without your supervision. When guidance says wait or no, do not argue yourself back under the lash of self-management. Say within simply, I consent. Grace is not only the giver of forms, grace is the governor of movement. If it shuts a door, it does so to spare you. If it delays a step, it does so to season you. Wait then without self-accusation and no without bitterness. You will discover that restraint, too, bears fruit. And when the yes comes, it will not arrive as a bargain you struck under pressure, but as a door that swings in your direction with the unmistakable weight of peace. So let us close the circle and put it in the simplest language we know. You felt lost. You became still. In stillness, a right idea was conceived. That idea entered time and began to unfold. You cooperated with what had life in it, and as you did, new channels formed without your strain. That is the arc. Not knowing was not your shame. I don't know. It hasn't unfolded to me yet. That was the doorway. Stillness was not inactivity. It was consent. The right idea came as seed, not as a stadium, and you did not yank the sprout. You watered it. You took one lamp length, and the river shaped its bed around your obediences. This is not romance. It is principle. And here is a promise, stated gently but with all the authority of what we have lived. Once you are touched by this, you do not go back to the old panic consciousness unchanged. Fear may visit, habit may knock, but there is a new center that does not scurry. He that believeth shall not make haste. You are only under cosmic law until you achieve, even fleetingly, the realization of grace. Then the stopwatch is taken from your hand. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Don't you see? Presence did not merely give you an answer. It gave you government. The same grace that said yes in quiet, that said wait without scolding, abides. It abides when your checkbook looks lean and your calendar blank, because conditions are not creator. God is the substance of all form. Appearance changes. The eye does not. What then shall you carry out of this hour? Nothing elaborate. Practice small, morning and evening, or in the 3 minutes between tasks. Sit. Say nothing clever. Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth. Or just breathe that honest sentence, I don't know. It hasn't unfolded to me yet, and let the relief of it open the window. When the atmosphere softens, do not spend it immediately. Let it settle. If a word comes, write it down. Do the one footstep it names. Return to stillness. Refuse to force a door. Refuse to advertise certainty you do not yet possess. Refuse to hurry beyond peace. Don't try. Live it. Exemplify it. If no word comes, keep kind hands and a quiet tongue. Let waiting be your obedience. Be still and know that I am God. As you do this modest sequence, contact, atmosphere, word, obedience, contact grace governs the order. Channels form around peace the way rivers obey gravity. And if tomorrow greets you with fog again, you are not back at zero. You have a lamp, and that lamp is not your personality. It is the I within. I is supply. I embody supply. Supply isn't external to you. It includes guidance. Therefore, you are not without direction, even when you cannot yet see it. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, which means you are never more than one step from sufficiency. The steps of a good man are ordered of the Lord, which means you are carried as you consent. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me, which means you need not chase what is already in motion behind you. So go quietly. Practice small. Guard the seed with humility. Say yes when peace takes the chair. Say no when peace withholds it. Rest when the shepherd makes you lie down. This class has not conferred power. It has unmasked presence. It will continue to unfold after this moment, because unfoldment is what grace does. Guidance is part of your supply. As you abide in the inner eye, the next step will unfold in due season.